Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Page Burners, the podcast, the Page Chewing Network, where we talk about the Malazan books of the Fallen, really all of the Malazan books. We're slowly reading through them all, everything by Steven Erikson and Ian Esselmont. Right now, we are in the middle, nearing the end, actually, of Midnight Tides, Book 5 by Steven Erikson. I am here with not quite the whole usual group of friends, as our fearless adjunct Varsha likes to say. We are missing Varsha, so I'm your substitute adjunct for the day, and we are missing Steve. But otherwise, we got our crew here, and we're ready to talk about an interesting set of chapters, I think. I'm Carl. This is my second full time through the books of the Fallen. Definitely my second time reading Midnight Tides. It feels like a fresh experience for me because there's so much I'd forgotten. And, every week we like to talk about or name something that we're most excited to talk about. And for me this week, I am most excited to talk about the Hold of Death, what all is going on there, and, really just kind of a tip of the hat to Shannon, who clocked several weeks ago that something was weird with death in Lether and everything going on there, because at this point, it's undeniable. And I'm going to pass the baton off to Mirka.
Hi, I wonder if you saw my face when you said your topic, because that was my topic that I was going to talk about today. That's okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Mirka, and this is, I've already read these books before. And so quickly coming up with something new that I want to talk about. Let's say maybe the role of the mistress in the empty hold and who that might be, or who two mistresses that might be. And passing on to Danny.
Yeah, I'm Dan, and I don't know. What do you want to talk? I forgot to think about what I wanted to talk, to be honest. The only thing I really remembered wanted to mention was that now, for some reason, I think that Bug is like Kroll or something. That's my new theory. But that's the only thing I remember I wanted to mention. So I'll just get
Glad you
pass
mentioned
it
that.
to
That's
Shannon.
an interesting theory.
Yeah.
And my name's Shannon. This is also my second time through the Books of the Fallen. And I also wanted to talk about the death and the awakening, I guess, of death in Lether. And then also just, I guess, what the Azap house has been doing. So I feel like that's kind of adjacent to that conversation. But instead, I'll mention, I was really, how about Iron Bars and the Crimson Guard? And I think them showing up is bringing some context also about how different this place is, because they know how it is everywhere else.
Excellent. All right. Well, let's start off with where we start off in chapter, chapter 15? With the war really beginning in earnest. I don't know about you all, but there were several scenes that I had to read multiple times to figure out what the hell was going on. I'm thinking specifically when the village gets wiped out in Seren Pedac's POV. I had no idea where they were, what the hell was going on. It actually really bothered me because I kept rereading me like, okay, I can tell these houses are getting crushed, but like what exactly is happening here? I just felt totally lost. I was missing sort of the emotional impact of that, particularly then, coming later on and they start talking about how their whole village has been wiped out. And I'm like, I kind of wish that was just like said earlier. Anyway.
It did happen kind of fast. Like all that, like beginning of the chapter, Seren and Buruk are hiking. And then a couple pages later, there's this attack of the sorcerers. And you're like, wait, what? Where did we go? Where are we? What's happening? I Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah. I did want to
And
ask what happened because I didn't completely understand.
Did you ask for a recap?
Yeah, could you recap Mirka very quickly?
Yeah, so they're basically Seren Pedac is with kind of an sort of pseudo independent crew walking through the jungle. They're not yet, in combat, and out of nowhere, there's this big like magical surge of energy. They hit the deck. It's sort of, I imagine it kind of like a strafe run almost, except it's not like literally coming down from the sky. And this whole ties to Edur village gets wiped out, and a bunch of people die.
yeah, I think more than one village actually, and we kind
Yes.
of don't know like how much time has passed between when they left the village. Is that the village like where everybody was? Tral, Rulad, was that village hit? I think later on it is revealed that it in fact was that one and some other villages as well. But then Tista Edur had left before the attack happened, right? So they are safe.
Yes.
They are marching on the borders.
Paul tipped him off that this is what Lether would do. So they all the Edur left, but then like the what was their names? The
Narek?
other
Narek?
tribespeople.
Yeah.
The Narek got left behind and apparently got wiped out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
But-
all of that to me is like, it's very dramatic and interesting stuff going on. And I don't know, I'm like, I enjoy a certain amount of like the haze of war and like, embracing the chaos of battle situation. But there are times where I feel like Erikson leans so hard into that it becomes hard to even follow what's going on, and that lessens the emotional impact of it. I think generally he's pretty good at balancing that, but like this chapter in particular, that aspect of it didn't quite work for me. The thing that did work for me was everything with Buruk and Seren Pedac, which I thought was...
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
see, the fog of war stuff didn't bother me because I was really just paying attention to the Seren Pedac and
Personal.
Buruk stuff.
Yeah.
The revelation that he's actually indebted, and then where that ends up going by the end of the chapter.
And we just learned that there is going to be war, and I don't know. I was the same. I expected that the war would happen, but maybe not immediately. Like there would be some. I don't know. I don't know why I thought there would be a period in between where there will be more setup to that war, and instead we just saw the scene when Rulad declares war, and then immediately next chapter there are attacks going on, and Tista Edur have vacated their settlements. So yeah, it's very abrupt.
I do get the sense too that we have like pretty significant time jumps happening in these few chapters specifically. Like I feel like we maybe cross multiple months.
Really?
Or at least
Really?
weeks in these chapters.
Well,
there's a
he
bunch of
did
travel
say-
time, right? That
He
happens.
did say how much time he gives Seren and Buruk to leave. I don't remember what that was. Was that like a couple of months? Probably not, right?
I don't know. I can't remember like off the top of my head. I just
I
like
thought
got
he
Yeah,
that.
me
gave him
neither.
like 3 or 4 days, I thought. Like he was in days, I thought.
Yeah,
But
because
I
he
might
had
be
because
wrong.
because she was worried that he was old and wasn't gonna be able to make it, or fat. I don't know, something. I don't.
But would that be before like what happens? Before he sends the shadow raids? Because the shadow raids are with them. So if that was the case, then maybe this is longer than just 3 or 4 days.
I thought
And I-
before the Shadow Wraiths attacked them, because they're still inside the territory, when at the end of those days the Shadow Wraiths would attack them. That's what I thought.
Mhm. But
I don't know.
since they are not attacking, then that means they are still within that window.
I assumed.
Yeah, I mean, that would make sense. But then everything must have happened very quickly for the entire villages to be on the move.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know shit.
Sorry, I
No,
had a
that's
brief
okay.
dog intermission. Had to get my sister's dog, who's now here, guest starring. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. I think the meat of it though is, as Shannon, you were saying, the kind of emotional developments there, which I thought were really well done. I maybe wish we got a little more from Buruk before then, but
Yeah. It's like he loaded up this chapter with care a little bit about him, and then he kills himself. And it's
yeah,
like maybe given it because we had no reason to think kindly of at all before this chapter.
yeah,
Good point.
It's definitely one of those, like, sometimes more is more and less is not more, where it's like, if I knew more about this guy beforehand, it would have made things more impactful. I'm getting nudged to pet. I'm sorry.
Yeah, because I really didn't understand like Seren's reaction to it, like why she takes it so hard. I'm like, he was okay, but really?
Yeah. I've said the feeling I got from before was kind of like Seren was doing her job and she didn't particularly like Buruk, and we didn't get too much about him. But it did not seem very happy in general, but it seemed more like something, like the background to characterize Seren. Seren was the main protagonist, right? So I never even consider Buruk as a real character. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I agree that her reaction was a bit unexpected. It was the same for me, especially since she's portrayed as this, rational, kind of cold, pragmatic woman. And then suddenly she's like so overwhelmed with emotions after she found out about Buruk's death.
I mean, I understand. Yeah, I mean, seeing a dead body. I mean, especially if it's her first time. I mean, yeah, that could maybe freak out anybody. But just it does. See, that's why I felt like there was a little bit of a time jump. Was like after that happened, it seemed like a little bit later, and she was still like drunk and all messed up from it.
No, exactly.
Because people
right?
were talking about it.
Yeah.
Like there's a period of time between like when Buruk dies and then when we really get her story later on, and and her rape and the Crimson Guard and everything there. And I swear there's a period of time before that, all that too. Like there's lead up to Buruk temporally. I feel like they walk for a while. We just don't see all of their march. I could be wrong. I don't know. I'm sure it's said somewhere, like there's some mention of that, but like, I don't know.
We can also assume that they've been working together for a very long time, right? Like,
yeah,
her being, I think it's mentioned at some point, if it really in passing in the beginning, but they've probably been working together for like many years. It's just that we don't get any like, like little nods of like, oh, I remember that time, like her thinking that time they were in that place or doing that other thing, right? Like those little storytelling things that suggest you a longer relationship, right?
Yeah, I mean, and there's a lot implied in, Buruk telling her before he kills himself that he's in love with her. Which, took her as much by surprise as I think it does
it came
the reader
from nowhere.
Yeah, because I definitely didn't notice any hint of that. Even this being the second read.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't feel like it was a tragically in love situation, maybe more like platonically. Like, I think there was, I don't know. I think maybe that's why it didn't transpire to us before, because it was just kind of something internal that he decided to share in his, before he was gone. Yeah, that's
I mean, it's a real
my
thing,
take.
you know, that like sometimes people like carry these strong emotions and don't, you know, they kind of bury them down and don't express them. So like I didn't like bother me per se. I actually feel like that I thought was interesting and a nice little kind of cherry on top dramatically. But his death was not as impactful for me emotionally because I was just starting to care for him.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, it seems like we're all in agreement on this chapter at least.
That never happens.
What else are we working with
So
here?
before we move on from Seren, I guess that's the thing about like when she hears those voices in the wall, and they talk about the mistress or the mistresses of the empty hall, then and basically they tell her that she's one of them. So yeah, I mean it's such a little mention that maybe is not too important, but I actually spent some time thinking about this and googling options or like theories about this. And so yeah, I guess before I share what I found, do you guys have any guesses as to who these two mistresses of the empty hold are, or like why Seren Pedac is one of them?
Don't they name one of them as it's not the aerosol?
They've mentioned Menandor.
Menandor, that's who.
Which
Yeah.
could be it. Yeah, I don't know. I still don't understand why Seren Pedac specifically should assume that role. Empty hold is a pretty big deal, right? Like that's the main thing that the Letherii worship, if I'm not mistaken. So you know, becoming a character in that hold, I think it's a huge thing. I don't know, like what did she do to deserve that, or like how does that become a thing? Anyways, and then there is that thing that, you know, we now have two mistresses, and I think it was in casting of the tiles previously mentioned that everything in the empty hold became plural, right? Like there are saviors, betrayers. I think Federwich was kind of mentioning that before. And yeah, so I wonder, is that like reflective of the fact that we now have crippled god versus the others, and it's going to be a war, and then we are unsure of the outcome, and you know there are two options for each of those positions, one from maybe the supporters of crippled god or, you know, Rulat's army, and one from the defenders, basically, which would maybe mean that man could be one of the mistresses. Yeah, anyways, any thoughts?
It's so hard for me at least, to like speculate because I'm so unclear on what the empty hold is.
Mhm.
I know we've questioned whether or not it could be curled Emerlon, but I have no idea. And I mean, it is so central, literally, you know, that's how the Letherii describe it in their faith system. But I just like, what is it? If I had a sense of what it was like aspected to, or, you know, like you said, what Seren Pedac did to like suddenly have this title, you know, at least with like Gano's parent, you're like, oh yeah, like there was a ton of stuff that went on that, you know, like you could kind of see snowballing into him becoming the master of the deck. Which like with Seren Pedac, we haven't seen her do any magic or like get caught up in any of that, have we?
Mm-hmm. No, like I mean, all she did so far in this book is she accompanied Buruk and talked to Edur a little bit, and that's it. Yeah, I think maybe the connection to Troll, that is hinted for sure, or has been hinted already. So
Yeah.
Who knows? Okay, I guess we'll find out.
That is an interesting little detail that she is thinking, like she's thinking she's like about to die, and faces start flashing through, and she like lingers on Troll. And she's like, why am I thinking about Troll and not Hole? Which, beyond being hysterical that their names rhyme, is interesting because I feel like we haven't gotten as, like, I feel like she does think of him as handsome, but I don't know that, there's as much like heavy foreshadowing that she's developing feelings for him or anything like that.
Well, I guess this is the foreshadowing.
Right. I mean, yeah, I guess that's right. This is it. This is it. That's a fair point. She buried that one down. She's like, wow, that Ty's Deader is actually like really hot. Seemed pretty decent too.
Yeah. And then anything else we want to know about the Mistresses? That I did want to mention we got some more characters on the I guess the bad guy side that I actually kind of liked. The Naga, the dominant.
Well,
and then
briefly pausing. I'm sorry. Mirka, was there something more? You mentioned Mayan, but was there like something else? Like any other thoughts you had? Because I genuinely I wish I had something to contribute, but I have no idea.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I did not really have any like other comments or questions. Just that Mayan sounds like a possible option for this role. And yeah, I think that's it. I think I agree we could move on to Troll's group of warriors and some very interesting characters there.
If I were to start theorizing, I would literally just be naming female characters. Like that's where I'm at,
Yeah, I highlighted that mistress thing when it came across, but like I didn't know what. I was like, I don't know what this means, and I really have no clue.
Sounds cool though.
Yeah.
All right, Shannon, take it away.
Well, I was just gonna say, I think, we now got a Jack that's fighting with them, and I guess he's the head of all of them. So now the Jack are on their side. But even more than that, there was a guy, Arada on, who is a Tist Edur who appears to be at least somewhat Tist Andi because he's got dark skin and and white hair and stuff. I was like, oh, that's really interesting. That here's this guy that, I mean, must have Tist Andi blood somehow. They don't recognize it, which is also, I think, really, shows you how divorced, I guess, they are really from their origins. That with somebody who's part Andi could walk among them, they don't even recognize.
How would that work with his lineage? Like, would it, like, do you think it's like it just passed down through the family line so long that like his darker skin lingers?
I looked at the wiki because I didn't remember him, and we'll learn more about him later on.
Okay,
you learn where he comes from and who he is exactly. But I just thought it was super cool. Like, here's a Tist Andi Edur.
Interesting.
Well, I think they live long as well, right? Like both Andi and Edur.
Mm-hmm.
They
I don't know if the Edur live as long. Like the Andi seem to be virtually immortal. Like they're
like elves.
Yeah, they're Erikson's elves. Because I mean, unless you get murdered, you live forever.
I'm a big fan of the Jack. I'm not gonna lie, especially once I realized that they're like a whole separate race. I've spent the whole first read of the series and multiple witness books and Carcanis and all of these books thinking that the Jack were just a subtype of human, not realizing until it might have been you, Shannon, either commented in our last chat or commented in the forum that like they're all separate species. And I checked the wiki and that's also what it says there. And I was like, it just completely blew my mind. It was hysterical to me that I had somehow missed that amidst all of this. I just thought they were people, like ordinary humans, I should say, who happen to be.
Now they're Erikson werewolves, except their own people.
I love it.
But do we know why they follow the cripple god? We don't know, right?
We don't know why they worship that sword.
Yeah, they're full on. It seems like they're following the blood because they worship the sword. So I guess that's why they were trying to stop everybody from taking it. But yeah, they worship the sword.
Yeah, that was mentioned and nothing else about it. I remember.
And how could they come to worship it that fast?
Why are they? Yeah.
Yeah.
It hasn't been that long. It's only been there for maybe anywhere from days to weeks.
I think it's been a very long time. It must be. There's some temporal shenanigans going on because it makes no sense otherwise.
Like Withel made the sword and then it goes back in time.
Something, or maybe where the cripple god is, it's not like, like time works differently between different warrens in some way. Maybe.
Or
I don't know.
Crazy pitch, maybe it fulfilled some sort of prophecy for them or something, or like was like some huge omen in their society, the sudden emergence of this magical sword, and they're like, this is it.
Yeah,
we have to follow the sword to the promised land.
Maybe it was like a big appearance, because otherwise it's just a sword in the ice. Like, how could they even notice it? So maybe it showed up with like a big light show or something.
Do you think maybe the cripple god...
Could they worship such a Seren before, and now they're worshipping his sword?
That's an interesting idea. Yeah, if they can sense the aspect of his blades.
Yeah. Early, I remember now thinking about it. I theorized maybe the sword was there because that's where the shards were. Maybe they worship those shards. They were there for so long, it turned into a sword from their viewpoint.
All interesting ideas.
Okay, I hope this gets answered at some point.
So we're introduced to all of those characters through Troll, right?
Troll, yeah.
Yeah, Troll's on the warpath, except very reluctantly. He is not happy. He's not having a good time. And Fear is drinking the Kool-Aid. Everyone around Troll is drinking the Kool-Aid. And, his life kind of sucks right now.
Yeah. Oh, and they find one of Akarium's clocks, which is now a bridge, apparently. But
I did mention
did it explain what that clock was for, or do we have any theories?
They did not explain it.
I don't remember if they did or didn't, because it moves real slow. I don't think they did, but yeah, it seems like it, because he made a point, like if you step on it and waited there a really long time, it would take you to the other side of the river. So it's turning, but very slowly.
Yeah, I wonder if Akarium thought it would be used as a bridge, or like if it was like a multi-design thing, or if it was just his clock and then he started using it.
Only he could remember and he could tell us why he built it.
Did anyone remember what I said Akarium was? I said Akarium did something in this book, but I can't remember what I said.
You thought Bug was Akarium, right? No?
No, I thought I did say Bug? Maybe. I thought it was something else. I thought it was like some other god or something.
Oh, wait. Errand. Maybe you mentioned
the Errand.
Errand.
Maybe.
Well, who knows?
Maybe. I know I did mention Akarium at some point. Just wanted to put that out there.
True.
No, I'm not going to let you leave it at that. Expound on that.
I don't know. I mentioned Icarium at some point in these discussions in a prediction. I don't remember in which context.
What
It was
but-
last time.
What are your
last week.
thoughts? What are your thoughts now? What do you think is Icarium's relationship to this book, to these cultures?
I don't know. Because, I mean, the only thing I can think of is that Icarium destroyed a bunch of things, right? That's what his whole thing is. And he forgot what he destroyed. So I wonder if he was somehow, I don't know, somehow, what did he do? He did something. No, I was going to say, no, he destroyed the First Empire, but I don't think that's the case. I think we know that it's something else that destroyed the First Empire.
Actually,
Yeah.
don't know.
I thought we knew it was something to do with. What was it? Well, I guess it depends what I'm talking about. The First Empire that is being taught here, that's the First Empire of men, right? It's not the First Empire of planet mass, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are quite a few mentions here. I think, is that when in the Udinas's vision they mentioned First Empire, or Udinas mentions First Empire
Yeah.
quite a bit?
Yeah.
I mean, I was very confused because they do see the planet mass in the, dimension, and we talk about the First Empire, but Letherii is also the center of the First Empire, but it's the First Empire of men, right? Because we can't be of
Yeah.
planet mass. Okay, so we're just both talking as First Empire at the same time, but we're talking about different ones. That was a bit confusing.
There are 3 First Empires.
Yeah.
What's the third one?
Great.
We have been introduced to 3. There was the Talani Mass
Mhm.
had one
Mhm.
that inspired, and then there's the one that had Calor, and then the one that had Decimbalacus.
Okay, I don't remember the Calor one was mentioned as a First Empire, but yeah, okay, I can.
Yeah, I think they call it Calorian Empire, but I think it is implied that they exist at the same time, right? Or around the same time.
Yeah. Actually, unclear. I have no idea. It's a long time ago. That's how much I know.
Okay, I see.
There was a mention that caught my attention when they mentioned that there was a first emperor that was 1 and then became 7.
Decimbalacus.
Yeah, did we already
Yeah.
know that? Is the 7
Mhm.
the dogs? Yeah.
We were
Okay.
told that in House of Chains. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
that was in House of Chains. Yeah, the Hounds of Darkness. I don't know if it completely connected all the dots, but it was there. I mean, this is Decimbalacus somehow, because I had a question about like how was he a diverse it turned into these hounds if these hounds predated him, but then I think maybe it mentioned like he merged with them or something. So yeah, so
He made a pact with the Hounds of
I guess
Darkness.
that would be the splitting. So it didn't
I
specifically
thought
say
he
splitting, but it was there.
became them. You are saying they are separate? I thought like he turned into a pack of 7 hounds.
He did. The story we're told is he made a pact with the Hounds. The Hounds predated him.
Yeah.
He made a pact with them and became them.
Oh.
I don't know if that's a metaphor or if that's literal or what,
Okay.
but that's kind of the story we're told in House of Chains.
There. Okay. Thanks
Yeah,
for the
I was
reminder.
very confused.
It's super
'cause, yeah.
confusing. Super confusing.
It straight up tells us he is them, but then it also we literally see them in like with guarding men against Kachin Shamal, and it's like what's going on?
Yeah, exactly. And then you think all of that's confusing. Then wait till you get to Carcanis, and it just gets even more confusing.
Oh, okay. Oh
Yeah.
boy.
I mean, I have to say, like, I love all the different storylines and how they're all woven intricately together and stuff like that. I do feel at this point though, because we're starting to build a lot of stuff off from all the other books, like one by one. Like there's a lot of different threads and a lot of different characters. sometimes it does feel a bit, let's say, like unfocused. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Sometimes I don't know what I'm reading a bit. Like, it's cool if you know the character and then you read all the other things and then it all kind of comes together. But yeah, I don't know.
You literally cannot know until you finish the series. I wish I could give a more satisfactory answer than that, but it's unclear exactly what the whole through line is, literally until the final few pages of the series.
I see.
Yeah.
What I can say is most of it does actually tie together.
Yeah,
There are some loose threads, but it's
yeah. I'm just thinking. I don't know. It's like kind of like, do we need all these characters to tell the story? Because right now it does feel a bit like there are some extra characters a bit. But I'm gonna have to see until the end how it all ties together, I guess.
No, it is really difficult to follow and like kind of retain everything. I just wish like whenever something is mentioned, I could see all the previous mentions of that thing in the previous books. That would be so cool. Like first Empire, and then like all the mentions are listed, and you can kind of read back about it and make the connections, because it's just so hard to remember.
Yeah.
Kind of like, this is what you already know. I mean, you can expand, right? Yeah.
I think that is a completely valid critique of the series. You even after finishing it, I'm sure that you'll still be like, I don't know why we had to do all those, have all those characters and all those, subplots. I think that's kind of the epic fantasy thing, though. Like when I think of like all the really big series, they all really branch out. I mean, not all to this degree, but like, it definitely seems to be a part of the subgenre that. That's like, I mean, and maybe it's part of the appeal, right? Is that you just get to explore so many different types of people, so many different types of stories within a larger world. I mean, I think that's one of the things that people who don't read epic fantasy don't understand about epic fantasy is the actual range of what goes on in an epic fantasy story. A lot of like the really big ones, it's not all Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones for that matter. And even Game of Thrones has, so too many plot lines for George R. R. Martin to finish.
Yeah. I mean, it's not specifically only about this. It's like, I've noticed sometimes it can get, some of these epic fantasy, like you said, can get a bit too sprawling. Probably George R. R. Martin, that's the best example, because again, he got too sprawling that he doesn't know how to get it back reined in, I guess. Right.
Yeah, at least this one is finished, and that it is going to, close, and there will be some meaning to everything. Oh, I guess maybe not everything, but most of the things.
And the ending's really good. I was constantly nervous. I was like, where the hell is this series going to go on my first read through? What I'll also say is more of it will start to become like where it's going and the direction of everything starts to become clear next book.
After this book,
We're literally hitting. So, okay, this is maybe actually a good point to talk about without getting into spoilers, how we're repeatedly given the symbol in universe, but also like in a literary sense of the fulcra or the fulcrum, right? Which is like the center of a wheel around which like all things turn, right? This is the fulcrum of the series. It's where the whole series shifts. It very much is that kind of like center point. And after here, we're in a way on the downward slope.
That's really interesting, because to me, it feels like this specific book feels like a big deviation and kind of like opening up a lot compared to the previous one. All seemed like we were all going into something, right? And this one felt like completely different. So I'm really curious to see what happens in the next book to tie this one with everything else.
We'll have to see.
Yeah.
Let's talk Udanas. Thought these were
Yes.
great sets of scenes. And I am officially kind of on the Feather Witch hate train. She just is horrible in these scenes. She's really terrible to him.
Welcome
Except
aboard,
actually, she
Carl.
does
We're
the good
glad to
thing.
have you.
The good thing
I
she
know.
does is get him to be a father to his son. That's actually really an underrated thing she does there, because he's so leaning into being an absent father, and she's like, no, you gotta step up.
Well, I mean,
Well, but
did
does
he
he?
choose to be a
I
father
think he's.
though?
No, but I mean, come on, he has this opportunity.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. Like, would you berate a woman that was raped for being like not too into her child? It's a very complicated situation. I wouldn't quickly judge the
No,
parent
well,
for
okay,
not.
I wouldn't berate them. I mean, I agree with that. I
It's
guess I should
tricky.
say there's an opportunity,
Yeah.
and she
Mhm.
makes him seriously grapple with what he should do about it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So if not a duty, it's not a moral thing necessarily, but an opportunity.
Yeah, I like you putting it like that. But also Feather, which apparently is not me having a great time, and Mayern is apparently like beating her and not being very nice at all. So
She's given Felison.
yeah,
She's having a really bad time.
it's a good point.
Well, she was mean
Yeah.
before that as well, so let's just not forget that. I mean, I'm not saying that she deserved that or anything. I mean, that's it's a horrible thing, but it is not like that shaped her previously because it couldn't. She was, having a normal, okay life among the Edur.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I did think that was gonna say like Carl said, she does feel a bit Felison now in the sort of like because we get a bit more of her perspective of like what she was dreaming about. She was trying to not be a slave and all that sort of thing, and she feels like Udinese took her chance to be something else in life. And again, it seems like she has no agency and nothing, and it does feel a lot like Felison.
Yeah, the
in many
desperation is
things.
very similar for sure.
After it's funny because I kind of said that just off the cuff, but as you're talking about it, Dan, and like I'm ruminating on it, like these have to be intentional parallels. I mean, imagine if Felison didn't become Shaik. I mean, that would probably be good for her, but like, would she have been pissed about it if Buruk got possessed?
Probably.
Yeah, she probably would have, right? When this was my chance to have agency.
Yeah.
They're very similar characters.
And
totally different backgrounds, but very similar.
Yeah. To me, though, Udinese is not, how to say, he's a nice guy. Like, I'm not saying all the stuff he says is very correct. I just think he's a bit annoying, in the way of like, in the way of someone that's like, oh, I'm much better than you, and I'm also being graceful about it, kind of thing. And I always say the right thing, and I'm like, I'm just a normal guy with normal emotions. You know what I mean? You can't expect me to be like you. I don't know. It's a bit sanctimonious or something in a way.
I don't know that I agree with that. I can understand him being kind of annoying, but to me, if anything, he's annoying because he's like very angsty, and I mean, he's like in his edgy teenage nihilist phase now.
That's
But he's sort of
actually
peaceful
well put.
with it, right?
Yeah, but he's actually like a decent person. Like I feel like the worst thing he does is kind of how he handles everything with Mayan.
Mm-hmm.
That he just and I don't even know that he could like in terms of action do anything, but the way he acts about it, I like with Feather Witch, for example, I think he doesn't handle that well. But
there was maybe a mention in his point of view where he's like, I don't really like when man is being used by Rulat, he's like, it does nothing to me. I don't feel sorry for her or anything like that. I guess that's the extent of his, not being a nice guy.
To be fair, I also think that's bullshit. I think he's saying that. It's the like, I am so traumatized. I don't feel anything. The world is meaningless. None of this like he doth protest too much. That's my reading of it, at least. I think he's like maybe numb, but not because he genuinely doesn't care, but because he is so miserable. I do think he and Featherwitch are an interesting duality. I mean, as a pair, I think the way they complement and contrast with one another, it strikes me as even more potent than Haboric and Felison. Perhaps because they're closer in age and come from more similar backgrounds, being both slaves, and the potential for romance is there theoretically. It's obviously not, but like I don't know. I find it very interesting and like thinking about how they kind of in some ways reflect different aspects of each other. I do think though Udanas is just a genuinely like I kind of get what you're saying, Dan, where like he could come across as condescending, but I think he genuinely is just a better person and like genuinely behaves better. He steps up, like he's a leader, not because like he has to be, or not because he wants to be, but because he has to be someone, like he just does it. And, and there aren't a ton of characters in this series where I like kind of give him this sort of moral pass that I do with Udanas, but like you just don't get a lot of sense of like ill will in his perspective. He seems to genuinely like try to see the best in people until his nihilist phase. And even then, he's not like being a dickhead to everyone.
Yeah. I was just thinking more kind of like from a perspective of Featherwitch, or a perspective of like someone which is like, oh, my situation is shit and I'm not in control of my emotions, and someone else is in the same situation, but he seems fairly peaceful with it in a sense. Right. In that sense, you know what I mean? Because he does seem like accepting of the situation and calm it within it. He's like, okay, this is my role. This is what's going to happen.
Yes.
It's very nihilist, but
that's
like
exactly it. That's why she hates him.
Yeah.
Because she cannot stand it. She cannot find a level of peace with her position. Well, he did. He was content being a slave.
Yeah. So
was that always the case, you think, or did his possession and his, kind of how he became very close to Rulat, did that change something, you think?
I think he was I actually think, if anything, he's more unhappy now than he was before Rulat came back.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of change, I absolutely think it changed something for the worse for him. I think, if anything, now he is deeply unhappy about being a slave. But before, like, he was weirdly at peace with everything. I don't know if you could say he was happy with it, but he wasn't miserable and angry and spiteful the way Featherwitch is.
Yeah.
Right. And he explains why. Like, they talk about this, that he knew a sort of different type of slavery in Letheris that to him made this seem less bad in comparison.
Yeah.
while, this is all Feather Witch is known, so she dreams of a better life. And he's like, well, the better life doesn't exist. I guess he's just so sad that, excuse me, that it makes him at peace. Like he's okay with his life just sucking. Which does feel very human. Like I think people definitely get to that point where they just like, could be worse.
He did have similar like internal monologues before. I remember at least two other times in which one of them is like, basically, was I free when I was in Letherii? I was like more of a slave maybe, and he's like, oh, here I'm taking care, I can live a life. I'm a slave, but it's still a normal life somewhat, right? And then another time he has some sort of thoughts about like who are the forgotten people of history, like the people in shadow, like all the slaves that died without leaving anything behind. And it's kind of like, like me and all the other, again, slaves. I remember these two sort of internal monologues he had.
I wonder if it comes from like the mirage of freedom that exists in like for the indebted, where there's really no hope of ever breaking out of it, but yet there still is some sense that maybe you could or should, right? We have all this talk about how like poverty and wealth, I mean, this happens later on, like when you assign moral values to that, that like kind of as a society, it just starts to like subconsciously influence how everyone behaves and views the people around them. And so that if you're indebted, there's some sense that like you deserve it, as opposed to like if you're enslaved, there's some level of like, well, it's outside of my control. It's not my fault I'm a slave. Bad stuff just
Tapple says he has this whole again monologue about that, right? Talking to Brug, saying about the value of people versus the value of money and labor and all those sort of things.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. That's exactly what I'm referencing. Where I think but I think that ties into this maybe, and why, at least for Udanas as a person, being indebted is worse than being a slave. Because with being a slave, at least like nobody's denying that you have shackles on.
That's a good point. Yeah, Lether is just kind of fucked up. I was thinking when I was reading it, when it was revealed like that Buruk was also indebted. I was thinking it would be pretty funny if like it ends up being like even the king is indebted to someone, like everyone is indebted to someone else.
Yeah.
It would be very, I don't know.
That's a cool idea.
Ironic of a whole society.
So before we go too deep into Letherii, I mean, what other thoughts do we have about, just to briefly summarize what happens with Udanas, that they stumble into this like pocket warren that's like a dream dimension where all of these ghosts of the Talani mass live, thinking they're still alive. They live like they did hundreds of thousands of years ago. They're waiting to reunite with their people. They did not get sucked into the ritual of Talan, and his son, he meets his son by rape. So who has dragon blood, both from Udanas and the mother, Redalal.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that son. I guess we don't know what the plan is, right? Like, why did Menandor do it? And we learn about, how that macro city where Rat, the son, lived was destroyed, and she intervened and saved him. And I think she was saying that damned legless bastard wasn't going to ruin her plans. So, there are some plans, and the crippled god either willingly or unwillingly was going to, throw a wrench into those plans. But I guess that's a good question, willingly or unwillingly, because I think the destruction of the macro city that they describe here, and again, I'm so unsure of this timeline, but is that the same macro city where Withal lived
It's
and
got to
was
be.
then? Yeah, right. I
Now
mean,
that-
like, how many destroyed macro cities can there be?
Exactly. No, exactly.
Many.
I mean, just thinking about it narratively, I think you're right. It's got to be that one.
But then didn't Crippled God also say that he saved Withal from that city? So the city got destroyed. Menandor came to save Rat, and Crippled God came to save Withal, and then everyone else was destroyed.
I
But
think
the
so.
destruction of the city came from Paninseer, so by extension, Crippled God himself.
That's crazy. Is that right? Oh my God, you're right. This this son of a bitch. He's playing
Right?
4D chess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think he told Withal that he saved him, but actually it was his doing that his city was destroyed.
That's hysterical. This guy.
Well, how many? I mean, in that section, I think it's chapter what, 17. But he says several times, this god lies. So
Yep.
there you go.
We should not take everything he says at face value. That's for sure.
Anything.
Yep.
Also, why is he legless bastard? Does he not have legs? I completely missed that.
No legs.
Really? Oh. Okay.
I mean, it might be possible that that's symbolic or like not symbolic, metaphorical in that his legs don't work. He definitely can't stand.
Okay.
That's why he's always like hunched over, is because he literally
Yeah.
can't stand up.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. But I guess we don't know anything yet about Rat and what his role is going to be, so not sure if there's anything else that you wanted to mention about this.
I just think it is an absolute wild curveball thrown in the story. Classic Malazan, where you're going along and then suddenly you're in a whole nother pocket warren and there's a whole group of ghosts living there that think they're alive. And oh, by the way, here's your son by the crazy immortal dragon lady who raped you. And he's growing up really fast. And also, by the way, he lived in the freaking Necro City where, the pyramid scheme is going on or went on. And like, what? This is crazy. That's not what a pyramid scheme is, but, go with me.
Yeah.
I just think it's wild and I love it. And the pathos, as we kind of alluded to earlier, we really talked about it. Dan, you highlighted it, of the drama of Udanas being confronted with like what was begat from his rape, I mean, this innocent child came of it. And what is he going to do about that? I mean, that's dramatic.
Yeah, he literally just he didn't have any reaction, did he? He was just like, oh yeah, okay. This is my son. And he's a dragon, or like...
Well, I think he was freaked out. Like, he actively did not want to parent that boy. He was like, I don't want anything. I'm not a dad. Like, I can't do that.
Yeah.
I love it. I loved it. I loved all the scenes with Featherwitch too. Like, her being terrible to him. When he found out that like she knew before he was raped that he was going to be raped. Crazy reveal. Absolute insanity.
Wait a second. She knew that he was, or she just witnessed it?
Or she witnessed it. She knew of it? Was it just that? I thought she read the tile and like had a portent that something was coming.
Maybe. Well, that just brings a whole new level to her then.
She's not having a good time. The implication is not just that Mayan beats her, but also that Mayan rapes her, right? Or was I the only one who
Yeah.
read it?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Does
Yeah.
things to her. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
how I read it too.
Also,
Yeah, I
how does-
almost got off the Featherweight hate train on that sentence, but you put me right back on it right there. If she knew about Udnatz's assault and didn't tell him.
she maybe just knew it happened. Looking back over it, I don't know that she knew it was going to happen. I think maybe it was after the fact.
Okay.
Yeah, that does seem to be the implication. I was misremembering.
But
that would be
definitely-
absolute next level. Yeah,
Right? Yeah.
that would be something else.
Well, I don't like her, so in my head, she knew about it, and it's like Mendel came to her and asked her where he was, and she said, he's over there.
Wow. How intellectually honest of you.
We do find out that she was planning for the Weiball, though.
Yeah.
That is a
Yeah.
huge reveal.
Yes, that it was supposed to go to her, yeah.
She was trying to make herself, draconic blooded, and ended up accidentally making him because he intervened to save her life.
Yeah.
That's a crazy scheme.
So I guess he wasn't saving her, because she was just going to bond with it.
That's
but
right.
He thought he was saving her.
No wonder she was so mad.
Yeah, that does give context to why she was so angry with him.
Any thoughts about connections between Rudalal and Shurkalal? Like, not like biologically, but just like they have the same last name. What does it mean?
Yeah.
I did not realize that. That's true.
It like punched me in the face when I read it because they immediately tell you that Rud means found. And I'm like, okay, great. I don't care. What does allow mean?
What is
Why do these two have the same last name?
I was so confused about it because I was like, I assumed we were supposed to make a connection and be like, that's it. But I couldn't make it.
It would be so funny if it's like Erikson just accidentally gave them the same last name and didn't notice.
It's
Not even
impossible.
accidentally. He just might be messing with us. Like, how many people have the same last name and they are not related at all, right?
It absolutely could be that. But I think when one of them is a magic dragon baby, you like, I'm sorry, you can't do that. You can't do that. You can't just be like, they're both last name is Williams. It's,
Well,
a bunch of
maybe-
people. Like, no, you
Sure.
can't.
Shirk's been dead for a while. Maybe this is like her nephew or something, and is her, not him, but whatever is the Rudd's stepfather, where he got the law name from.
So is it
Yeah.
maybe,
Maybe-
Talani Mass name? Or from Mekros?
Yeah, on the Mekro city that there was he said that because he thinks his father is this guy, starts with an A, like Ari Alal or Arak Alal.
Mhm.
And so that's where the Alal name comes from, is from that other guy that was on the Mekro
That's right.
city. So maybe that guy is descended from Shirk or something. I don't know.
But what do we know about Shirk's life before? That's what I was trying to remember. Like, did we have any clues about where she came from? Or something special in her death, or something special in her like family?
I think we just know she's a thief, and
Yeah.
that was it.
That's it.
Yeah,
How
I
long
don't think
is
the
good one?
Mekros
But
thing
still
was
think-
mentioned at all.
Was she dead for a long time?
Thought she was, but I could be wrong. I don't know.
Weird.
You lose track when you don't breathe. I don't know.
Yeah. I am also, on a related note, obsessed with the way that Featherwitch identified this random boy in this dream world as Udinaz's son was by his lips. Girl, why are you looking at his lips?
Yeah.
There's
That's right.
something there.
Crazy.
She did. Oh, he's got his mother's eyes, but he has your lips. That's a weird thing to say. Okay.
Man doth protest too much.
I've never heard anyone say that about any child
That's what I'm
in my life.
saying.
It's
That's crazy.
Yeah.
crazy. I mean, now that I think about it, I mean, some people have distinct lips, but I wouldn't. I've never used that to identify anyone in my life.
All I'm saying is she's been thinking about Udinas's lips.
Yeah, clearly.
I guess.
Chapter 16, shall we?
Chapter 16.
Well, I did want at the end of this chapter, just real quick, we do meet Atri Preda Yantovis.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Just it's real brief, and they mention her again in the next chapter. But yeah, so she seems to be on the Letherii side. She's what does she do? Is she in High Fort? Is that where she's at, or
Yeah.
where she locks herself up there, and then they're at, and then in the next chapter they're
It gets like
potentially going to be facing off against her.
She surrenders, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, she's okay.
She surrenders the Fent Reach
okay.
because she doesn't see a solution to the situation. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, she just doesn't think that they can hold or retreat or whatever. Yeah.
I mean, is she gonna be a character now? Because they did give her a decent amount of like time, in a sense. I don't know.
Well, she got this section at the end of this chapter, and then they name drop her in the next chapter too.
Yeah.
So she does seem like she's gonna, she's at least somebody.
So what happens next? Next we are back with Seren Pedac, and she meets Iron Bars, right? Did we see any of the Crimson Guard so far? I always forget.
Just Gardens of the Moon.
Yeah, and that's it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, how is this guy here? How did they get here?
Ship?
Well, chapter 14 goes back to Lether. That's where we pick up with Bug and all them. Do we want to do that, or do we want to just kind of wrap up chronologically what we're talking about?
Let's
chapter 6. We're on 16, right?
Yeah, we have a lot more to talk about in chapter 16.
Or did we start?
We kind of covered the Udinas stuff, I think. I mean, maybe there's some like little lore stuff that I'm forgetting about, but the big thing was
14. We got 15 and yes.
Is her the death of Buruk, which we only like kind of briefly touched on. Seren Pedac becomes a drunk like Buruk as she's grieving him. She blacks out and gets raped, and we meet the Crimson Guard. Or one contingent. I mean, a shitload happens. Where do we want to start?
Let's
start
asking
here.
about the Crimson Guard, but
did you say? Sorry, Dan. Did you say you want to speak about them?
I was already asking about it. Might as well.
Okay. Cool.
Because I was asking if anyone knows about how we got here.
Shannon's our Crimson Guard.
How they got here? I think he says that they came from a sail, which is another continent.
Yeah.
But I think that's all we know. That they just from there.
The Crimson Guard, I think at this point all we really know about them, sail. We do know they are enemies of the Malazan Empire because they showed up looking for a fight with them. And they, I don't know, they almost came off as like a superhero group the way they showed up in Darujistan. There was like 5 of them, and they all had like superpowers, and so they're more than human, which we see with this, with Iron Bars breaking Rulad's neck.
Yeah. But what were they doing in a sail? Like, where is a sail, or in relation to all the other continents too? Because I
No,
thought
We don't know.
this continent was so far away from all the others we've seen before. That's why there's no communication really, and they don't know what's going on.
it is.
So how did these guys end up here, right?
That's a good question.
That's kind of like, how did they end up here? I do like that I guess they sailed in somehow, because they say as soon as they sailed in, they found themselves in debt. Because it's
I think
Letherii.
the sail is already like super far from the Malazan Empire, and then like being already far, they just went a little further and found Lether.
Yeah, I think you could imply that it's not. It's the opposite direction from the Malazan Empire as Letheris would be, because they're. But we
It's
don't
like-
really know.
Maybe it's like they were trying. So when the Western Europeans were leaving, or Christopher Columbus, let's say, left and was like, I'm gonna find the way to India, and he found the Americas. Maybe it's that situation.
Maybe.
I mean, these are not colonizers, but anyway. Dan, do you remember who the Crimson Guard are?
Yeah, they're the guys with Carlton Brood.
They did work with Kaladin Brood for a while. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, I thought wasn't he their leader?
No,
Really?
Prince Kaz. They mentioned
okay.
that they have there's like this prince that's in charge of them.
Okay.
I think the big thing we know about them at this point is they're a mercenary company that fights against the Malazans.
Yeah.
That's why they were with Kaladin Brood, because they're already against the Malazans. So they joined him in
And I
fighting
would
against.
also file the mention of Awad, and then the fact that Ironbars regrets becoming one. And
Yes.
then I guess we'll find out more about that in other books.
And I mean, we don't know what that really means, but we know, Sandalet touches him and gets freaked out by it. So whatever's been done to him is scary to a Tistandi ghost.
Yeah, and he says we all make mistakes. So that's where I kind of got that regret from, or I guess maybe not regret, but like just admitting that it was a mistake, maybe. Yeah.
By the way, look
I
at the
totally
map.
forgot about
the sail is on the other side of the map as Lether. So I guess they went around the world, like you said, or something. So I guess the world is round, after all.
Well, I'm confused by this, because if the world's round, then it's right next to Lether.
Yeah, but I guess it's still probably still very far, but not as much as going the other
I'm not
way.
going to overthink it.
Okay. Maybe it's like the Pacific Ocean sort of thing.
So
maybe.
I want to talk about Sandalat, but that I actually don't know if there's that much to talk about. Very interesting, random Tystandi ghost who
Well, I think she's
a freaking dragon. We know, she knew the brothers, meaning Animander, Andorist, and Silchus Ruin. And she had a daughter who, are we able to infer who her daughter is at this point?
I don't know. Dan?
There's no way Dan. No way.
No.
Okay.
Well, then no.
Okay.
That's okay. I don't think Sandalat is a dragon, though. Like herself. Her daughter, yes.
Did she not say that she drank of the blood of Tyam when Animander led them to do so? I thought that's what
she was talking about her daughter at that point, but I might be wrong.
I also might be wrong.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think her daughter's a dragon. I don't think she drank the blood.
Not a lot of female Taist-Andi dragons. That's all I'll say about that.
Hmm.
Oh, man.
So her spirit was set free, and she was free to cease to exist finally after thousands of years, if I understand correctly. Only crippled god intervened again.
Yup.
Yeah.
And now she's on the beach.
Yeah.
Absolute insanity that she thinks she's about to get sweet, sweet oblivion.
Yeah.
Her little ring gets dropped into the ocean, and the crippled god just yoinks, steals it away, and is like, "You're mine now."
And he didn't even mean it. He was just like, it was so easy to find someone. I'm surprised. And yeah, it was just like the timing was bad for her.
I don't
Or
even know what
good.
to
I mean,
say.
she gets brought back to life. Maybe
This guy.
death is pretty final. You know, maybe
Mhm.
if she's alive, she can do something.
It was very sweet how she didn't want to ask for that favor because what she was giving in return was too small of a help.
Mhm.
That was like, yeah, such a sweet. Like having read so much about Letherii and how they are all about gains and money, and then this Andy's like, oh, that's okay. I want this thing, but it's too much to ask. That's not a fair bargain. It was very refreshing.
Yeah.
Well, and what was the too much to ask? Because she was just asking him to throw a thing in the water and kill her. Like, that's not hard to do. I think she was, talking about the weight on their soul of killing her. In fact, that this, the
And just the impact, right? That like this is so meaningful to her, and that she wishes she could give something back, just as meaningful.
I thought the
It has
issue
the same value.
was because they needed to walk all the way to where she actually died and then throw it where she actually died, not just any random place. I thought that was the issue. Why it was like a big ask.
still didn't seem that hard to me.
I guess with warrants, yeah, it's easy, but without warrants, probably would be much more tricky.
So, well, and now that you mention that, we get mentioned from the Crimson Guard that there's no Warrens in Lether. Like,
How does
what?
that work?
How do they do magic if they don't have Warrens? Like, what's
The whole.
I don't,
And how do warrants only
got the
work in
holds.
certain parts? How do they work in Genebakis and they don't work here? It's the same world, right?
Well, apparently the Warrens are regional,
I guess so.
Our boundaries.
or at least, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Or
So-
if something,
I guess I was gonna talk about the hold of death and stuff like that, but because it's connected. But I'm not gonna do it yet because it's later.
Well, yeah.
Well,
So
actually, we could jump to that because it's going to be I think a long conversation anyway.
does anyone have any thoughts about Seren Pedac's arc, her grief, any other thoughts about the Crimson Guard? I find it compelling, but
I don't love that we start, we have her get assaulted. I feel like that's a little too, like, why? Why are we going back to this? Well, and then having her be drunk, everything over Buruk. Again, I just didn't really see her having that close of a relationship that she'd be this upset. Nearly blackout drunk.
I agree.
But I'm glad that she's hooked up with the guard and got out of there.
The guards are cool. I like them just snapping Ruald's neck and then just being like, "What the fuck was that guy?" Let's just go continue on our way.
they have an impact for sure.
Yeah.
Iron bars, especially.
Well, not just that, they get in
all
the warnings.
these names I
Man,
mentioned too.
Mm-hmm. He gets in the war and he's
Edur,
like, that
right.
guy's armor was worth so much. We just had a little bit of time. I would have stripped him for it, but we're in a hurry.
Yeah.
Talking
Like,
about
they very
wars.
much remind me.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say they just very much remind me of the Malazans, of the Marines at least.
True.
Well, they are Malazans, right? They're just Malazans who oppose
Are they?
Malazan Empire. Like, I guess they're from... No?
Well, I guess it depends
Like,
how
it's
you
not
define the
Malazans from, like, a Malaz isle, but they're from the continents that are
Yeah.
currently occupied by Malazan Empire. Okay.
Well, they're military. They're just bounty, or independent rather than run by the an empire.
Yeah.
But they are soldiers.
They're from the same lands, yeah. I think that's what you're saying, Mirka. And my understanding, just based off of Gardens of the Moon, and is that they were sort of like the rival force almost, like the chief adversary to Kellanved's imperial expansion. I mean, obviously there were a bunch of different enemies that popped up, but that they were like the consistent thorn in their side.
Mm.
Yeah, and you can get that implied by the fact that their leader is a prince,
right?
Yeah. But do you think they were in the role of defenders purely, or would they also have
I don't know.
intention?
I think we'll have to wait till later books to really talk about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's an interesting question.
I guess I just don't remember.
Why were they able to use the Warren spell now? It's because of that part I didn't understand. It's because of the magic that the Edur are now using. Is that why?
That's what was implied. So. Yeah, the Edur. They say something like Edur brought it with them.
Yeah, because the Edur.
So yeah,
they're using
related to something. Whatever they're doing is reawakening the Warrens, or well, what do they jump into? Kurald Galain, right?
Yes.
So
wait, what?
Yeah, that's what they say, right?
Carlo is using Kurald Galain to travel around.
Because
somehow I missed it.
Yeah, wow. He says he thought it would have been Kurald Emerlane because of the Edur, but instead they find themselves in Kurald Galain.
Yeah.
And they're like, finally we found access to the Warren now that the Edur are here. Yeah. But before that we couldn't, like, the Corlo as a mage couldn't do anything at all on this continent.
Yeah.
Wait, okay, I was under the impression that the holds were Elder Warrens. So are the holds a completely separate thing?
I mean, I'm pretty sure
some
of them are
not
at least
accessible to someone whose magical training or magical powers are in Warrens. I don't
know. But we've definitely interacted with holds before in the previous books, right? In some way.
Because Letherii have magic, right? But maybe it's not.
Yeah.
Is it not coming from the holds then?
Well,
is it coming from somewhere else?
There was a lot of talk in the next chapter when the Sita finally meets Kettle about how he looks into the sedence and he sees it. So it's like whatever this sedence is seems to be a big source of his power, which I don't really remember them talking about that before this, but maybe it was probably
like
there.
It's like a stone. It's like a scrying thing.
But I just have the sense that's where a lot of his power comes from, and maybe that's where like the name Sita comes from. But
yeah,
I always thought the sedence is like the variant of the deck of dragons. But then you wouldn't say that the deck of dragons is powering the magic in the Malazan world, right? It's
okay.
It does order it though. So maybe the sedence is like ordering. Well, okay, so maybe, okay, here's theorizing. The holds are in some ways related to kind of the same network as the Elder Warrens, but they're walled off differently by this, like the Sedents and whatever organizing principle there is there, in the same way that the Warrens themselves are kind of walled off and organized by the Deck of Dragons. And so that's why, like, Curled Ghislaine, for example, is not part of them, because it's not a part of the Sedans.
Mm-hmm.
There's some arbitrary separation between them. I swear they call Elder Warrens holds in Memories of Ice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but
Like
when Coral explains Curled Ghislaine to Seren Pedac, he's like, it's a hold of darkness. And she's like, there is no hold of darkness.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, no, it's just that I want to explain it to you so that you understand. So it has to be different. Like it. Yeah, I guess they must be slightly different if we are talking about holds versus warrens. And then, because like, why wouldn't they have a hold of darkness?
Yeah.
I think it's an organizing principle. Like, if they don't acknowledge the thing and structure it, they cannot access it. It's not one of their things. Like, it's not like Curled Ghislaine does exist, but they cannot access it for whatever reason. It's blocked off because they, in a way, don't believe in it.
Could
It's
it
not
be
a part of
because
their
there's no Tristandi here? Because
other
they're
than
all killed?
ghosts.
Yeah, because they all killed them, and maybe that's why there's no currently is not here, because there's no power, there's no people that believe in it, maybe? I don't know. But it's definitely mentioned before, like the holds were like, wasn't there a sentence like before the Warrens there were the holds, and before the holds there were the
Yes, that's what I'm
something else
talking
they're
about.
walking
Exactly.
around.
Yeah.
Right?
That's in Memories of Ice. Silver Fox is delving into the memories of Sister Cold Nights, whatever her name is, and talking and explaining how all the Warrens work to Ganos. And Ganos, she like offhandedly mentions the holds, and he's like, what are the holds? And she's like, oh, it's another name for, like Elder Warrens or something.
But is it really implied that it's an Elder Warren, or does she just say that before Warrens there were holds?
She might just say that. Yeah, you may be right about that.
That really is the same thing, right? Because
she was saying before the Warrens there were holds, because then it keeps going. It's like before the holds there were these migrations, and then it gets into the whole why Draconis did what he did to try to why he created the sword and everything to save Curled Ghislaine from chaos.
Okay, so the big question for me then is, are the holds a part of Cruel's blood magic?
No. I don't think
just
so.
the Warrens.
Could the holds be even before the Elder Warrens? The Elder Warrens are in between the holds and the new Warrens? Maybe?
It literally couldn't. That is impossible. Because
Is
theoretically, the Elder Warrens are in some ways an elemental force. Well, it's a little more complex than that. I can't talk about this.
I mean, the holds are elemental forces too. And
yeah,
the ones before them too, even more, right?
How did the holds? Because they must not have been made by humans. Some other race must have passed them down to humans.
I mean, they're not things, though. They're like, what are they?
Well, that would explain why they're not. If whatever race originated them is dead or nearly dead.
I'm just saying, maybe they're just like the coalescence of like some primordial force aspect or something. I don't know, like if they were actively made or if they just appeared. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
we don't know.
And then we get that weird story about from the Talani Mass about the one Talani Mass woman that it almost sounded like Byrne, who like used stone and earth magic to save them and create this pocket warren. Do y'all remember that? That's in the scenes with Red Alal, where they get this whole origin story for their pocket warren that just sounds suspiciously like Burn, but it's not Burn.
I thought they were talking about whatever her name is, starts with an E.
Aerosol?
Yeah, I thought they were talking about Aerosol.
They were also in that conversation. It wasn't her though. There was a separate, because there's a Talonite mask they're talking about, a bone caster. They specifically named it as a bone caster who used the magics and basically like burned herself out, but isn't dead, is alive and maintained. She's doing what the Mybe is doing for the other pocket realm, is maybe the way to think of it.
I thought she was doing what the Jag children and the matron were doing in the second book. But like plugging a hole.
No.
Okay.
She is making what they describe as she's making the foundation of their pocket warren. She's the reason it exists.
But wasn't that warren Starwall Demelane? A fragment of Starwall Demelane?
Yes, it is. Yeah. It comes out of that, yeah.
Which is one of the Elder Warrens.
Right.
Right?
But it is not itself literally Starvall Demelane. It's a pocket, right? In the same way that like the dream world is like a pocket of Talon.
Yeah. Wait, I also lost the track. Where are we going with this?
I don't remember. I don't know. It's confusing. I've gone cross-eyed.
Yeah, the Hold versus Warrens.
That's what we were talking about.
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to, because, you know, a bunch of different societies.
I guess it's a really good question. Why cannot Corlo use anything, any of the holds if they are versions of Warrens, or like?
No, okay. The holds are not Warrens, because the holds predate the Warrens. The Warrens all came from Karul, even the Elder Warrens, supposedly. Though I'm not sure totally how that makes sense.
No, that's
because,
not. No.
Well, that can't make sense, because just knowing what I know about like Karul Delane, like it predates him, I'm pretty sure. But
yeah,
there's other places in the story where they tell us it comes from him.
I think
there's some contradictions with like what people believe.
My understanding is the new Warrens come from Karul. The Elder Warrens do not. The Elder Warrens were elemental forces before Karul, and then Karul gave his power to mortals, and that led to the Warrens being shaped, like Mianis and Thyr and Rashan. I think so here's my pitch.
Okay. Memories of Ice, chapter 7.
Okay.
Shoot, where'd it go? I just lost it. I want to make sure I quote the right thing here. The twin chambers of the heart of Karul Delane, or the twin chambers of the heart were Karul Delane and Starvall Demerlane, and that's talking about Karul.
Yeah.
Only a handful
his
of
heart?
entities. The Warrens.
Are those the only two Elder Warrens?
Was his blood. Oh wait a minute, hold on. The power of the Warrens was his blood. The twin chambers of the heart were Karul Delane and Starvall Demerlane. Okay, so maybe he didn't. Okay, so his blood created the Warrens using Starvall Demerlane and Karul Delane. Maybe that's what that's saying.
I'm now more
confused. But that's a line on Memories of Ice.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know.
I don't know how it works.
The pitch that I have is that the reason why you can't use the Warrens if the holds are older is because this land is frozen in time by Gothos' magic.
Mm-hmm.
Which that gets repeated again here. And so I think that's why they can't use it, is because for whatever reason they exist outside of time here.
Could be.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Gothos' blood is he's created that moment out of time. Well, and also, you've got the Azath house, which I think it strongly implies has been, not controlling everything, but just, kind of weakening everything
Right.
until now. Because now that it's dead, things are starting to like awaken like Death's realms.
Let's talk about death. We've been dancing around it.
Well, sorry, just saying before, but like about the Bonecaster, it says their Bonecaster realized that the breaches must be sealed, and so she drew from Power Stone and then rose into a new eternal body to stand before the wounds. I don't know. It sounded to me a lot like.
Oh, you're right. That does sound like, yeah, that does.
Yeah, but I don't know what was happening exactly.
How does their dream world exist then? Because they're not in literally Starville Dimline. They're in a pocket warren. Or pocket hole. Pocket warren? I don't know.
I assume there were breaches, and if it continued, it was going to collapse or something or break, and then they needed something to, patch it up, like we've seen happen a couple of other times, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right. So, anyway, sorry. Continue with the hold of death thing.
Well, I mean, the first thing is just we get explicit textual confirmation that Shannon was right to notice much earlier on in this book that death is weird here.
Mm-hmm.
That all of the undead and the variety of undead, like that's an intentional choice. I didn't remember this at all. Like this was completely.
Yeah, I didn't remember this part at all either.
And so I thought it was really cool. So tip the hat to Shannon for picking up on that. And then that it's tied to the Azath house, and that after the Azath house dies, it becomes the hold of death. I don't know what that means.
First of all, really cool. Do we know why the house died? Was it said at any point, like why was it dying and why did it die?
No, I don't think so.
No, we don't. Okay.
She just says it's growing weak, and I don't know. It feels like they're kind of like living things, but at some point they're gonna die, right? And
like
the more stress we're under.
Force.
Yeah. But it seems like there was a lot of stress from trying to keep all these powerful beings, trapped. And then, yeah.
So my pitch might be that it like runs on life force in some way, and it hadn't been fed sufficiently powerful people in like hundreds of thousands of years.
Maybe.
I don't know. I don't know. Can't explain it.
Yeah, so I guess in terms of like the absence of death, or like the aspect of death, I think that comes from that ritual that Gothos did, right? After the battle in the prologue. So that happened over this continent. And then there is that conversation, I think it was Solcho's ruin again. He was like, the ice is coming, it will seal everything. And the sorcery will prove a barrier to the death, to the path of the spirits. So I guess that's like, because of that ritual, there was just like nowhere to go for the dead all these years, all these thousands of years. And now that sorcery is dying. I'm not sure why, but because it is dying, that ritual is falling apart. And now finally, I think Silchus was saying the balance was reasserted. So, finally there is a concept of death, and there is a path for the dead souls to go. And that's the hold of the death.
Yes.
But I wanted to ask, why is, the jagged ice fields affecting the fact, death and stuff like that down in Letherii? Because Letherii is not covered in ice. I thought the ritual only affected everything that was encased in the ice,
I don't think it was like physically in the ice. I think it's just I think it was
like
magic.
An ice aura. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would think of it. So okay, so this kind of ties into my question for y'all, and I have a few thoughts about this, but I'd like to hear from you before I say them. I would think about it like symbolically, in terms of like Gothos. Of course, there's like a literal story aspect to it of how his magic, he froze this continent. But as you said, Dan, it's not literally frozen. And so there's some sort of magical aura that is melting now. Like that's what's changing. This whole continent is becoming unfrozen. Why do you...
What is your... Yeah, sorry.
Yes. So why do you think, like, to me, it makes sense more thematically in terms of, or symbolically in terms of like the shadow of it all, where it's this kind of blurry middle ground between life and death. But when I think of like societies like Letheris, for example, that is associated with progress, I don't necessarily think of like their ghosts haunting them constantly or like living with the undead. When I think symbolically, it just doesn't necessarily like, it's not immediately intuitive to me. And so I'm curious why you think this continent, like from a symbolic sort of thematic perspective, is the one that is haunted by the dead.
I'm not sure I understand the question. Like, why symbolically? I guess we know the reason why, because of the ritual.
I don't mean like in a plot sense. I mean like, what is Steven Erikson saying
Like thematically.
Like, why in this book is this the one dealing with the undead in such a wide-ranging way? Like, we've had the Talani Mass, and like that was kind of its own little thing. But like, none of the other continents, none of the other civilizations have such an immediate, universal and a variety in a myriad range of forms of undead around them. I mean, that's what tipped Shannon off to this, was like, we got a lot of weird ghosts and zombies and a bunch of like just weird undead people out there. It's like, so why? And now we know like logically in the story why that is. But like, what is the point, I guess, is what I'm asking. Because Erikson is the type of writer who like, he has a point. Even if it's not like an answer per se, like there's something he's exploring, some idea. And I'm struggling to figure out what that is. Like some of it, he's very explicit. Like when he's talking about Letheris is like kind of a satire of capitalism, like that's very on the nose. Like you don't have to dig super deep to understand what he's saying. Because he literally tells you on the page. Here, I have no idea. But it is everywhere, and so I feel like it must be something.
Oh.
I don't know. I don't think it has to have a reason. I think it can just be something that happened like for the plot's sake. But it's interesting that you are looking for that symbolism in it.
Yeah, with this series, I have to. I feel compelled to, because Erikson is a writer that focuses so much on theme. I mean, he speaks of that. Like it's not just even just in the reading of the series. Like he openly talks about that, and I don't know. Maybe it's something to ask him about. If we can get him back on. Like what is I mean, when you think of like, so often the undead, like there's some sort of symbol, when you think of like George Romero's Night of the Living Dead about or Dawn of the Dead, excuse me, about how they were like it was about like American consumerism and kind of the droning culture that had been created of mindless consumers. What is he saying here about these like wildly different civilizations, but that are nevertheless tied together by this aspect? I guess it is pointed that the Edur are surrounded by ghosts and the Letherii are surrounded by corpses, walking corpses, zombies, if you will.
Oh, they're not all undead, are they? Or was that is that
No.
the implication here that like anyone who died since the ritual until
No.
present?
No. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that there are an unusually large amount of undead people. And actually, now now that I was saying that the other part aloud, that like I do think it is notable that the Edur are specifically surrounded by disembodied ghosts, while the Letheris, it's much more tactile. I mean, these are physical bodies that will not die.
I thought there was something to what you're saying in the, because there was a whole conversation with the king and no, who was it? There was a conversation with a couple of people in Letheris talking
Visita?
about Visita and Sita and Brisbane.
No, Kettle. It was.
Oh,
I think it was
okay.
Kettle. The
Was it?
conversation you're talking about.
They were
Maybe
talking about
maybe it was
death
Brit.
and
Yeah.
saying like, oh, like distract, like people's life is a distraction from death and like all those sort of things.
Yes, that was Briss. Yeah. You're right.
Okay.
Yeah, it was.
And I was like, there is a theme here connected to the hold of death and obviously, but I couldn't grasp what it was. Like, I know there's something here.
Well, I mean, a big part of that conversation was about how death is what we weigh, what we value everything based off of. That it kind of all comes back to death.
Yeah.
And that even like the idea of money and everything, like ultimately the currency we value, like everything we value, like it comes out of, the cost of death, that it all ends, that we all rush towards that eventually.
Yeah.
Which ironically, many of people apparently in this society don't. They die and then they're still around. So, I don't know what that means.
Says about it.
I mean, maybe the idea in some way is like, I'm just going to start spitballing that their values themselves are like so worldly that they have been unable to transcend beyond death.
Feels like a
So the end
stretch.
of all things that, typically affected mortals, it is less meaningful because of the value they assign to currency and money.
Yeah.
While the Edur, right? I mean, the Edur symbolism to me is as straightforward as it gets. They're literally haunted by the ghosts of their past. Their history is literally haunting them. So that part I at least feel like comfortable understanding. I guess it's the Letherii that I'm hazy on.
I want to add something that I was thinking while reading that part about something we've discussed before about causality and what comes before and what comes after. Because within this whole discussion about the hold of death and everything else, what I was thinking was like, okay, is the fact that the hold of death doesn't exist that is causing this, or is it the other way around? Like the fact that people don't believe in death, that's causing the fact that the hold of death doesn't exist? Or the fact that the hold of death doesn't exist means that people don't really, venerate death. They don't have a cult of death. They don't have, like Hood or whatever. There's no person on the throne. Like, because he does mention the whole thing of like, oh, if there was a god of death, it would be some skeleton on a throne, and you know what I mean?
Absolutely. I think it's the latter of what you said, that they don't believe in it. They don't have that. They don't venerate it. There is no worship of death.
And that's why there's no hold of death?
I think so. I mean, I think that's a pointed void in their faith. You think of how many holds they have, how many deities they worship. But the one at the center is the one about chance. I mean, it definitely speaks to what their culture, no pun intended, values.
That's why I thought it was the other way around, is maybe because there's like the whole frozen thing and the curse and whatever Gothos ritual, and there's not, like the souls are not leaving, so people are not drawn into, like, I don't know, because people are not going through Hood's gate, the soul, like there's nothing for the souls to, worship in a sense, and that's why they're not doing it. Because he says something like, "Oh, it should be obvious. This should be," like he does say that, like it should be one of the gods, right? Because it is
Dan,
central to everything, he says.
Dan, as a
But
Baker
doesn't he
reader,
also say that that doesn't need to be worshipped because it happens anyways? Like
Yeah.
right?
I thought he said something like that. But
Dan,
to your point, then it was mentioned that the dead are gathering around the tower more and more, right? Because I think that would
yes,
be what you are saying. They are looking for that gate to like just somewhere to go, which they didn't have before, like so far.
Yeah.
it's the Curl Ghislaine that comes before.
Yeah.
The darkness that precedes all things. Come on.
Yeah.
That's the answer here.
Sure.
That's for our Baker fans out there. We love you.
Yeah. I wonder if it's going to become more obvious what the connection between all these things are in the next chapters. Because again, like Shannon said, he was wondering about death thing, and now we have more explanation, and it's all seeming to make more sense. So maybe we're going to get more information.
It's so funny to me what I do remember from this book and what I don't. Because like this whole part, like plot, it's like I'm reading it for the first time. It's crazy. I'm so excited to see, what comes of this, Dan, like you're saying. Because something's going to. Like there's going to be a payoff.
Yeah.
Do you think that with the death of the tower, I think Kuru Khan says at some point that the hold of Azaz is gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The entire hold, like that hold is no more because the tower died.
The structure, I think, is physically there, but magically,
right,
soul
totally
gone. Yeah.
But that erased their entire, like, I mean, if we are going back to our conversation about holds versus warrens, so would the single structure and its magic be the center of the entire warren, and then if that magic died, the warren is gone? I don't know. It was just like a little bit like, yes, this particular Azat location died, but that doesn't mean that the entire hold of Azat need to be gone. I was a little bit surprised by that.
Especially since we know that all the Azaf houses are connected, right? Like this one doesn't seem connected in the same way that all the Azaf houses are in the previous books, right?
It has to be them.
Yeah, but it felt different than the other ones, didn't it?
I guess it is similar in that they only mentioned the grounds, and does anyone actually go inside the tower? I'm not sure.
Wait, don't...
Udanos.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Udanos goes inside the tower.
In Letheras?
Yeah. In his dream sequence.
Right. Okay. Yeah, so I was just gonna think like maybe there is a guardian, but we just just like in the other houses, but we just don't know about them because nobody actually entered the tower. But
no, but they talk about the guardian, right? Of the Azaf house. Didn't they? Like literally at the end of the last chapter?
Well, Kettle is the guardian.
Yeah. But
right.
they have a whole discussion about the guardian of the house, right?
Yeah, that's true. It's just like, I guess, different to the other guardians.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah, which were like trapped inside.
Moving around the city.
Is the hot guy who she talks to, who's doesn't give a shit about anyone, is that supposed to be Silchus Ruin? Is that who she's talking about? Who's like had a bunch of lovers?
I thought that was Turodel Brizet, like the handsome man.
Oh yes.
Or the...
Oh, is that Turodel Brizet? Oh, you're right. That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense.
But there is
And then
Soldiers
she
Ruin in the
does
tower, right?
speak to Sol Chazrun a lot.
Yeah.
He's the one
That's
in
why
the
I got
barrel.
confused. Yeah. Okay. No, Turldal Brizad, that makes way more sense. That's good. Okay.
There's
Okay,
so
wait,
many,
what was the-
so many guys. Sometimes when these discussions, it almost seems to me like we're discussing like a soap opera or something with like a million different characters. And like, oh, that guy went to that guy and he fought that guy. You know what I mean?
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would. I could see it in some sort of like super long play that has like a million episodes with a bunch of characters. Cause I don't know.
Yes,
Sometimes I
maybe.
imagine it a bit like a screenplay, like the books.
It's
Oh my god.
it's very cinematic. Yeah. What else happens? What of import happens?
Oh, Kettle is becoming alive.
Right?
Do
Yeah,
we?
that's huge.
Does anyone want to share their theory as to why?
That I can't speak on.
Because the ice is melting from the jacket or something. Maybe. I don't know. Because they
Okay.
do say thawing. Could be all connected.
Yeah, the hard they specifically use that, right? That can be a coincidence.
Do we think this is related at all to the crippled god? Like how the crippled god poison burn? Is that maybe why the Azath house died?
Hmm.
Like,
No.
I mean,
Yeah,
maybe.
it seems like this very important piece of the puzzle we are missing. Like, why is
Right.
the Azat dying? And then, like, if we knew that, everything else would make more sense.
They just
Or
died.
how the holds relate to everything. What does it mean?
We
Erikson.
basically discovered that we don't know anything in this discussion.
Yeah, what's
Yeah.
crazy is I thought I understood the magic pretty well before I started this reread. Nope. No idea.
Yeah, what am I reading? I don't even know.
I don't even know. All right. Well, I mean, we get some like interesting kind of setup scenes. I don't know if there's anything notable that's worth talking about. I know we're running pretty late. Anyone have any quotes or anything, any last minute things they want to talk about before we close out?
I had a quote. Let me get mine.
Well, I don't have any quotes. I thought the epigraphs were interesting, but then nothing stood out to me. Sorry, Shannon, did you say you had something?
No, I agree with you.
Okay. Okay, cool. Well, I think we'll leave it there then. So next week, we're going to be reading chapters 18, 19, and 20. That's 18, 19, and 20. So another 3 chapters. We'll be back again, hopefully with Varsha and Steve. Thank you so much for listening. And if you can hear Dan's typing, thank you for enduring that.
Sorry.
Just kidding. All right. We'll see you next week. Bye, y'all.